Day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of Election Day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Following my interview, Democrats and many mainstream media outlets constructed their own political narrative without including the full context of the Q&A about outside agitators on Election Day. Among the media outlets that ran misleading headlines, NPR, Vanity Fair, The Guardian, many others. And this is how the interview was covered on television. Watch this.
In a Fox News interview, the former president also suggested using the military to go after what he called the enemy from within on Election Day.
It comes as former President Trump is deploying increasingly inflammatory rhetoric against his rival and suggesting using the military against what he described as domestic enemies.
We're at the point where he's saying, I'm going to use the National Guard and the military to take my political enemies out of the country.
But I'm talking about Donald Trump saying that he wants to use the National Guard and the military to go after the left. That's what he's saying.
On the campaign trail, Trump this weekend stepping up his anti-immigrant rhetoric and suggesting he might use the military against, quote, radical left lunatics on Election Day.
Joining me now in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is Trump Organization Executive Vice President and the son of the 45th President, Eric Trump. Eric, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Your reaction.
Thanks, Maria. Listen, my reaction is very simple. I've lived this for 10 years, Maria. I mean, it started with the dirty dossier where they made up the most unthinkable things about my father. Then they went to the Russia hoax, and that hung over my father's presidency for a 3-year period of time. Then they tried to impeach him the first time. Then they went after Brett Kavanaugh. Then they tried to impeach him the second time. Then they raided his home. They raided Melania's closet. They raided, Barron's room. Then they tried to take him off the ballot in Colorado. Then they tried to take him off the ballot in Maine. Then they weaponized every AG and DA in Atlanta, in New York, in Washington, D.C. to go after my father. Then you had, Page and Strzok and Comey. You had me getting 111 subpoenas. You had them ban him from Twitter, ban him from Facebook, ban him from Instagram. Then I mean, where do you want me to stop? And that's exactly what my father's talking about. That's the enemy within. You see ABC, you see 60 Minutes. They literally take Kamala Harris interviews and they edit them. They edit them to make her sound intelligent, to make her sound smart when she totally botches the questions. I mean, between the censorship and the legal lawfare and the political lawfare and the corruption and the weaponization of every political institution, there are tremendous enemies within, and there's not a single person, Maria, watching us right now. There's not a single people who haven't felt the degradation of our government and our system and our country under these people.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying in terms of the enemy from within, but what I'm saying is President Trump, and I know that you've heard your father talk about how he likes to weave. He goes to lots of different places, and then he weaves in the answer to your question at the end. And here, I was specifically asking him about the idea of outside agitators coming out, creating chaos on Election Day, should it appear that he was winning. And here, I mean, the media did not even include my question. I mean, it was amazing. Sure. Outlet after outlet, they took out my question on outside agitators entirely, and they just ran him talking about Adam Schiff or the enemy within and getting the National Guard. That's what I was
Maria,
referring to, and that was just really so incredible to me. They all
Maria,
did it, every
we've
one
seen
of them.
it. We've seen these outside agitators do it. They were leaving pallets of bricks on street corners in Chicago and in New York and in Minneapolis and in Portland, all over the place. People are going up, grabbing a brick, throwing it through a store window. We've seen this. This is what they've done time and time again. There's a lot of money that does agitate elections, that does agitate for the other side, and you better believe it's a very dangerous thing.
Eric, let me ask you about the money.